Hello, and welcome to History at Nightfall. Today, we're stepping into a cozy and mysterious Christmas night, where the snow listens, the forest whispers, and even reindeer can speak. A gentle story of friendship, quiet magic, and warm lights hidden deep among the trees. A night where Christmas feels softer, slower, and just a little bit enchanted. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, leave the world behind, and drift with me into the calm of this winter night. The snow that night seemed in no hurry, drifting gently from the sky as if each snowflake knew exactly where it wanted to rest. Rooftops, pine branches, and quiet streetlights were softly wrapped in white, turning the small town into something secret and magical. From the window of a wooden house at the edge of town, a child gazed outside, feeling that this Christmas night was different from all the others. The air wasn't just cold, it was filled with whispers. Inside, the fireplace crackled warmly. Cinnamon and orange lingered in the air, yet the child's heart was gently pulled toward the forest beyond the yard, as if something was softly calling their name. Wrapped in a thick coat, the child stepped outside, boots sinking quietly into the snow. That was when a faint jingling sound floated through the trees. Not the wind, but something alive. At the edge of the forest, bathed in moonlight, stood a reindeer with glowing eyes and antlers. They shimmered as if dusted with stars. "You're late," the reindeer said, its voice calm and kind, like a bedtime lullaby. Christmas doesn't begin with presents. It begins with remembered friendships. The child wasn't afraid. Somehow, on this night, magic felt natural. The reindeer turned and began walking, leaving gentle prints in the snow, and the child followed. Deeper into the forest, the air grew warmer, softer, as though the trees themselves were protecting the path. Small animals peeked out from behind roots and branches, foxes, rabbits, owls, all watching quietly, all smiling in their own way. "They can understand you tonight," the reindeer whispered. "On Christmas Eve, the forest listens." Soon they reached a hidden clearing where lanterns hung from branches, glowing golden and warm. The child's friends were already there, laughing softly, their breath forming tiny clouds in the air. They hadn't been invited with words, only with feeling, the same gentle pull that had led the child here. At the center of the clearing stood a tall, ancient tree, wrapped in lights that pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Beneath it lay no gifts, only memories, moments of kindness, shared laughter, quiet bravery, glowing faintly in the snow. As the child stepped closer, the reindeer bowed its head. "Take this feeling with you," it said. "Carry it into your dreams." Christmas magic fades at sunrise, but warmth stays with those who notice it. The lanterns dimmed, the animals slipped back into the trees, and the snow began to fall again, slower now, softer. By the time the child returned home, the fire was still burning low, the house silent and peaceful. Curling up beneath a blanket, eyes growing heavy, the child smiled, knowing that somewhere in the forest, the lights still glowed, the reindeer still watched, and Christmas was quietly breathing in the dark. As sleep slowly wrapped around the child, the night itself seemed to lean closer, as if it had one more secret to share. Outside the window, the snow continued to fall, but somewhere far beyond the town, deep in the forest, the ancient tree's lights pulsed once more, steady, calm, alive. The reindeer lifted its head and listened, not with ears, but with memory. This was the moment when dreams and waking gently overlapped. In that quiet space between breaths, the child found themselves dreaming of the clearing again. This time, the forest felt closer, warmer, like an old friend. The animals gathered once more, moving without sound, their eyes kind and knowing. The fox curled beside the lantern light. The owl blinked slowly from a low branch, and the reindeer stood watch, patient and proud. No one spoke at first. They didn't need to. On Christmas night, silence carried meaning. The ancient tree shimmered softly, and within its glowing lights lived stories from many winters before. Children who had once wandered into the forest, hearts full of wonder, now grown, but still carrying that warmth inside them. The tree remembered them all. It remembered laughter echoing through snow-covered branches, hands held tightly in the dark, promises made without words. Each light was a memory gently resting, never fading. The reindeer stepped closer and lowered its head. "Every Christmas," it said softly, "the forest wakes just enough to remind the world what truly matters." The child felt no urge to answer. Instead, a deep calm settled in, the kind that makes worries feel distant and small. The lantern swayed slightly, as if breathing, and the snow slowed even more, drifting like feathers through the air. Gradually, the dream softened. The forest blurred into warmth, the lights into stars, the reindeer's voice into a gentle hush. Back in the wooden house, the child slept peacefully, the fire now only glowing embers. Outside, the night stood guard, quiet and kind, holding the town in stillness. And somewhere beyond sight, the forest remained awake just a little longer, waiting, listening, ready to welcome anyone who might need a moment of magic. As the world rested, Christmas breathed softly on, calm, warm, and endlessly gentle. The night stretched on gently, as if time itself had decided to rest. In the wooden house, the child's breathing became slow and steady, rising and falling in rhythm with the quiet crackle of the last glowing embers. Outside, the snow softened every sound, wrapping the world in a hush so complete it felt like a blanket drawn carefully over the town. Deep in the forest, the ancient tree continued to glow, its light dim but steady, like a heartbeat that never rushed. The animals remained nearby, moving only when necessary, careful not to disturb the calm. The owl watched from its branch, eyes half closed. The fox curled its tail tighter around itself. Even the wind chose to whisper rather than speak. The reindeer stepped through the clearing, its hooves leaving no sound in the snow. It paused beneath the lanterns, lifting its head toward the sky. Somewhere far above, clouds drifted slowly past the moon, and the stars blinked as if responding. This was the hour when wishes traveled easiest, not spoken wishes, but the quiet ones carried deep in the heart. As the child slept, their dream drifted again, lighter this time. They walked through the forest without footprints, guided not by sight, but by feeling. The trees leaned inward, branches heavy with snow, forming a gentle archway overhead. Each step felt safe, familiar, like returning to a place long remembered. A small rabbit appeared at the path's edge and hopped alongside the child for a while. "You're doing well," it said softly, its voice barely louder than the snow falling. The child smiled, understanding without asking how or why. On this night, answers weren't needed. Presence was enough. The path opened onto a quiet frozen stream, its surface glowing faintly beneath the moonlight. Lantern reflections shimmered across the ice, slow and steady. The reindeer waited there, peaceful and patient. "Not every journey is meant to go farther," it said gently. "Some are meant to help you rest." The child sat beside the stream, feeling the calm settle deeper, heavier, warmer. Thoughts drifted away one by one, like leaves floating downstream. The forest hummed softly, a sound almost too gentle to hear, yet deeply comforting, the song of winter keeping watch. Gradually, the dream began to fade again, dissolving into warmth and stillness. Back in the house, the child turned slightly beneath the blanket, face relaxed, mind quiet. Outside, the snow slowed even more, as if the night itself had grown sleepy. The forest dimmed its lights, the animals retreating to their resting places. The ancient tree glowed one final time before settling into silence. Christmas magic, having done its quiet work, rested too, not gone, just waiting. And as the night carried on, Calm and unbroken, the world remained wrapped in peace, breathing slowly together. The night did not end. It simply softened. Snow continued to fall, not from gravity, but from choice, each flake drifting as though it had all the time in the world. The town slept deeply now. Windows glowed faintly, one by one fading to darkness, until only the moon remained awake, watching over rooftops and winding streets. In the wooden house, the child slept on, wrapped in warmth, breath slow and even. Dreams came gently, without edges. No sudden movements, no sharp thoughts. Only calm images, floating like lantern light through winter air. And once again, without sound or effort, the dream carried the child back to the forest. This time, the forest felt even quieter, as if it too had grown tired in a peaceful way. Snow rested heavily on branches, bending them low, creating narrow corridors of white and shadow. The child walked slowly, not because the path was difficult, but because there was no reason to hurry. Every step felt supported, as if the earth itself was holding them steady. Far away, a bell chimed once, then nothing. The reindeer appeared between the trees, moving gracefully, its breath rising in soft silver clouds. It did not speak right away. Instead, it walked beside the child, matching each step, allowing the silence to stretch comfortably between them. "Long nights are important," the reindeer said at last, its voice low and calm. "They give the world time to rest." They passed a cluster of trees wrapped in tiny lights, not decorations, but memories glowing gently, moments of kindness, shared laughter, quiet bravery. Each light pulsed slowly, steady and warm, like a heart remembering how to beat. The child felt no need to touch them. Just seeing was enough. Further along, the forest opened into another clearing, wider and softer than the last. Snow blanketed the ground so smoothly it looked untouched, except for a single circle where the snow had melted away, revealing moss beneath, green, alive, and warm. In the center, a small fire burned without smoke, its flames low and golden. Animals rested nearby. A fox lay curled close to the warmth. A pair of deer stood quietly at the edge. An owl blinked slowly, unbothered by the child's presence. "This is where the forest rests," the reindeer whispered. "Not sleeps, rests." The child sat near the fire, feeling warmth rise through the cold air, easing everything inside. Thoughts slowed. Memories drifted in and out, soft and distant, like half-remembered dreams. There was no pressure to hold onto them. Above, the sky deepened into a darker blue. Stars scattered gently, uncounted. Snow fell more slowly now, almost hovering before landing. Time became difficult to measure. The reindeer lowered itself into the snow, folding its legs carefully. "You don't need to stay awake here," it said kindly. "The forest will remember for you." The child leaned back, eyes heavy, watching the fire flicker. Each flame seemed to breathe in, out, matching the rhythm of the night. The animals remained still, present but quiet, guardians of calm. Gradually, the dream softened again. The fire dimmed. The lights in the trees faded to embers. Sounds drifted away until only breathing remained, slow, steady, safe. Back in the wooden house, the child slept deeply now, untouched by worry or noise. Outside, snow continued to fall, tucking the town in for the rest of the night. Deep in the forest, the reindeer stood once more, watching the horizon, patient and peaceful. Christmas magic did not disappear with sleep. It settled quietly into the world, into homes, into dreams, into hearts. And the night continued on, long and gentle, holding everything exactly as it was meant to be. The dream did not fade this time. Instead, it gently widened. The child felt warmth first, not from fire, but from presence. Soft laughter drifted through the forest, familiar and comforting. Slowly, the child realized they were no longer alone. Their friends stood nearby, bundled in scarves and coats, faces glowing in the lantern light. No one questioned how they had arrived. On this night, gathering felt natural, as if Christmas itself had quietly brought them together. The reindeer stood before them, calm and watchful. "There is a path that only appears once each winter," it said softly. "It opens when hearts are ready." As it spoke, the snow ahead shimmered, and a narrow trail revealed itself between the trees, winding, dimly lit, and gently glowing beneath the moonlight. Lanterns floated up from the snow, one by one, hovering just above the path. Each lantern carried a faint warmth, pushing the cold back without burning. The friends exchanged quiet smiles and stepped forward together, boots pressing softly into the glowing trail. With every step, the forest seemed to breathe around them, branches shifting just enough to make room. The journey was slow and careful. Snow muffled their footsteps, and the air grew thick with a calm hush. Occasionally, something stirred just beyond the trees. A shadow moving, a pair of gentle eyes watching, but nothing felt threatening. The forest was not hiding dangers, only secrets. As they walked, the reindeer spoke in pieces rather than sentences. Long ago, before towns and clocks, this forest learned how to keep warmth. The friends listened, not needing to understand everything. Some stories were meant to be felt instead of known. They came upon an old wooden bridge stretching over a narrow ravine. Below, a stream glowed faintly, its water slow and glassy, reflecting stars that did not belong to the sky above. One by one, they crossed, hands brushing, steadying each other. The bridge creaked softly, but held, as if it had been waiting for them. On the other side, the forest changed. The trees grew taller, their trunks wrapped in frost that sparkled like silver thread. Bells chimed faintly in the distance, not ringing, but breathing, a sound that rose and fell like a lullaby. Soon, they reached a small village hidden deep within the forest. Snow-covered rooftops curved gently, windows glowing amber. No smoke rose from chimneys, yet warmth filled the air. The place felt paused in time, as though it existed only for those who knew how to find it. The reindeer stopped at the village's edge. "This is where travelers rest," it said. "Not forever, just long enough." The friends stepped inside together, the ground soft beneath their feet, hearts steady, curiosity calm. A door opened somewhere. Light spilled out. Laughter echoed faintly, slow, distant, welcoming. And the journey continued, unhurried, wrapped in mystery and quiet wonder, deeper into a Christmas night that seemed endless and endlessly kind. The village welcomed them without words. Snow rested quietly on curved rooftops, untouched and smooth, as if no one had walked these paths for many winters. Yet every window glowed with a soft amber light, warm and steady, like a memory refusing to fade. The friends moved slowly through the narrow streets, their breath rising together in gentle clouds, the sound of their footsteps softened by thick snow. Somewhere nearby, a bell chimed once, not loud, not sharp, just enough to remind them they were not alone. Wooden doors stood slightly open, lanterns swaying faintly as though stirred by breath rather than wind. Inside one small house, shadows moved slowly across the walls, calm and unhurried. The smell of pine, baked bread, and something sweet filled the air, wrapping around them like a familiar blanket. "This place remembers," the reindeer said quietly, walking beside them. "It remembers every winter when warmth mattered more than time." They followed a winding path toward the center of the village, where a wide square opened beneath the moon. In the middle stood a stone well, its edges worn smooth, glowing faintly from within. Snow did not fall into the well. Instead, it drifted around it, as if respecting something old and important. The friends gathered close. One leaned forward and peered down into the light. Inside, the well did not show water, but reflections, children laughing, hands held tight, lanterns carried through dark nights. Small moments, quiet moments, the kind that stay long after louder memories fade. As they watched, the light shifted, slow and gentle, like a breath being released. A narrow road led away from the square, stretching beyond the village and into the deeper forest. Unlike the others, this path was darker, lit only by distant stars and the faint glow of snow itself. The reindeer paused, its expression calm but thoughtful. "This road leads farther," it said. "Not everyone walks it, but those who do." Return changed in quiet ways. The friends exchanged glances. No fear passed between them, only trust. Without speaking, they stepped onto the path together. The forest grew taller here, branches weaving overhead, forming a natural archway. Snow fell more slowly, flakes drifting sideways, lingering in the air before settling. The world felt suspended, as though held gently between moments. As they walked, the path revealed small signs of those who had come before. Old lantern hooks hanging empty, smooth stones arranged carefully along the edge, faded ribbons frozen into the snow. None felt abandoned. Everything felt placed with intention. The reindeer moved ahead now, guiding without hurry. "This journey isn't about where you arrive," it said softly. "It's about what you carry back." After a long while, long enough for thoughts to loosen and soften, the trees parted once more. Before them lay a frozen lake, wide and still, reflecting the sky so perfectly it was hard to tell where earth ended and stars began. In the center of the lake stood a small island, reachable by a narrow bridge of frost and light. Lanterns glowed along its length, steady and calm, inviting but never demanding. The friends stepped onto the bridge together, each footfall silent, the air around them warm despite the cold. Halfway across, they stopped, feeling something shift, not outside, but within. A deep sense of belonging, quiet and grounding. On the island, a single tree stood, tall and bare, its branches wrapped in soft white lights that pulsed slowly, like a resting heart. Beneath it lay no gifts, no signs, no instructions, only stillness. The reindeer bowed its head. "This is where the night listens," it said. "Sit, rest, let the quiet speak." They did. Time stretched, snow fell, breath slowed, and the Christmas night held them there, safely, gently, as the journey continued, deeper, softer, endlessly calm. The island felt warmer than it should have been. Snow rested lightly on the ground, never melting, yet never cold. The friends sat beneath the softly glowing tree, shoulders relaxed, hands resting quietly in their laps. No one felt the need to speak. The lights in the branches pulsed slowly, matching the rhythm of their breathing, as if the tree itself were listening. Far above, the sky shifted almost imperceptibly. Stars drifted, rearranging themselves, forming patterns that felt familiar without being recognizable. The lake around the island remained perfectly still, reflecting everything without distortion. A mirror not just of the sky, but of calm itself. After a long while, the tree's light brightened just a little. From the far edge of the island, a narrow path revealed itself, made not of snow or stone, but of soft, glowing frost. It curved gently downward, leading beneath the lake's surface. Yet there was no water, no sense of danger, only an invitation. The reindeer stepped forward first. "This part of the journey is quieter," it said gently. "Not darker, just deeper." The friends rose together and followed. As they walked, the world above slowly faded, replaced by a soft blue glow that surrounded them like twilight. The air felt thick and comforting, as though wrapped in wool. Their footsteps made no sound. Even their thoughts seemed to move more slowly now, stretching out and settling gently. The path opened into a vast chamber beneath the lake, where tall ice pillars rose like cathedral columns. Light shimmered through them, bending and drifting, creating slow-moving shadows that danced across the floor. Somewhere far away, a low hum echoed, not a noise, but a presence, steady and calm. Lanterns appeared again, floating gently beside the group. Each one glowed a slightly different shade, responding to whoever walked nearest. One friend noticed their lantern glowing warmer when they smiled. Another noticed theirs brightening when they breathed deeply. "These lights respond to stillness," the reindeer explained softly, "not effort." At the center of the chamber stood a wide circular door carved into the ice. It was old, older than the forest, etched with symbols of stars, trees, animals, and sleeping figures wrapped in blankets. No handle, no lock. The friends gathered before it. Without warning, the door began to open on its own, slow and quiet, revealing a space filled with gentle, golden light. Inside, the chamber was smaller, cozier, its walls glowing like candlelight through snow. The floor was covered in soft white fur, and the air smelled faintly of pine and distant fireplaces. This was a place of rest. One by one, the friends settled inside, reclining comfortably, eyes heavy but peaceful. The reindeer stood at the entrance, watching over them. Long ago, it said, this place was made for travelers who carried too much. It lightens the quiet burdens. The golden light pulsed slowly, wrapping around each of them, loosening worries they hadn't realized they were holding. Memories floated past, not sharp or emotional, just gentle reminders of kindness received, laughter shared, warmth felt. Time lost its shape. Eventually, the light began to dim, not fading, but softening. The door opened once more, leading back to the blue-lit chamber. The friends rose, feeling lighter, calmer, steadier. The path now sloped upward. Step by step, they returned toward the surface, the glow of moonlight slowly reappearing. When they emerged onto the island again, the lake reflected the sky just as before, unchanged, as if nothing had happened, and yet everything had. The trees' lights glowed warmly, then slowly dimmed. "The night is nearly ready to release you," the reindeer said kindly. "But the journey isn't over yet." Beyond the bridge, another path shimmered faintly, leading deeper into the forest, toward something older, quieter, and even more hidden. And together, without hesitation, the friends stepped forward once more, continuing their long, gentle Christmas journey into the heart of the night. The forest welcomed them back as if it had been waiting. Beyond the bridge, the path narrowed and curved gently between tall, ancient trees. Their trunks were wide and dark, wrapped in layers of snow and time. High above, branches intertwined, creating a canopy that filtered the moonlight into soft, scattered patterns. The air felt older here, calmer, heavier in a comforting way, like a place that remembered many winters before this one. As they walked, the forest began to change in subtle ways. The snow no longer fell straight down. Instead, it drifted in slow circles, spiraling gently around them before settling on the ground. Each flake glowed faintly for a moment, then faded, as if leaving behind a quiet blessing. The friends stayed close, not out of fear, but out of connection. Sometimes a shoulder brushed another, sometimes fingers briefly touched, grounding and reassuring. No one spoke, yet they felt understood. After a long while, the reindeer slowed and lifted its head. Ahead, the trees opened into a wide hollow where the forest dipped downward, forming a natural bowl. In the center stood a cluster of stones arranged in a circle, each one smooth and dusted with snow. Lantern light shimmered between them, low and steady. "This is a listening place," the reindeer said softly. "The forest gathers quiet thoughts here." The friends stepped into the circle, one by one. As soon as they did, the sounds of the forest softened even further. The wind stilled. The snow slowed. Even the distant hum of the night faded until there was only breath and warmth. One of the friends felt a gentle pull and sat down on one of the stones. Without needing to be asked, the others followed. The stones were warm beneath them, as if they held the memory of countless travelers who had rested there before. Above, a single star brightened. The reindeer stood just outside the circle. "You don't need to speak," it said. "Just listen." And so they did. At first, there was only silence. Then, slowly, the quiet began to fill with something else. Not voices, but feelings. A sense of being welcomed, of belonging, of being exactly where they were meant to be. The forest breathed around them, deep and steady. Images drifted through their minds like soft dreams. Winter mornings wrapped in blankets, laughter shared under glowing lights, hands held tightly in the dark. Each memory felt warm, gentle, never overwhelming. Time stretched again, loose and unmeasured. Eventually, the lantern light between the stones grew brighter, weaving together into a single glowing thread that rose slowly into the air. It hovered above them, shimmering like a ribbon of light. "This is the path home," the reindeer said quietly. "Not to a place, but to a feeling." The thread drifted away from the circle, floating between the trees. The friends rose together, feeling calm, steady, and light. They followed the glowing ribbon as it led them, through the forest, past snow-covered roots and sleeping animals, past places they had visited and places they had yet to understand. The forest seemed softer now, less mysterious, but no less magical. Shadows no longer lingered. Every step felt familiar, like walking through a dream they had always known. In the distance, warm light appeared once more. The edge of the village, quiet and glowing. But the ribbon did not lead them there. Instead, it curved gently toward the outskirts, toward a small clearing near the forest's edge. There stood a simple wooden gate, covered in frost and pine needles. It was open. The reindeer stopped. "This is where the journey changes," it said. "You will walk forward, but the forest will stay with you." The friends turned to thank it, but the reindeer had already begun to fade into the snowlight, its form softening until it became part of the night itself. One by one, they stepped through the gate. The snow felt lighter on the other side, the air warmer. Somewhere far away, a bell chimed, slow and gentle, like the closing of a book. And though the night still stretched on, calm and endless, the journey continued quietly forward, carried in hearts that now felt full, steady, and ready to rest. Beyond the gate, the world felt softer. The snow no longer crunched beneath their steps. Instead, it yielded gently, like powder warmed by breath. The friends moved forward together, wrapped in a quiet calm that felt earned, as if the journey itself had smoothed every sharp edge they carried. The forest behind them did not close. It simply watched, patient and kind. Ahead, the path widened into rolling hills blanketed in snow. Small lights flickered in the distance, not fixed like lanterns, but drifting slowly, as if carried by the air. Each light pulsed faintly, inviting but never demanding attention. As they walked, the night deepened, growing thicker and quieter. Sound became distant, like it belonged to another place. Even their thoughts softened, stretching out and dissolving before they could fully form. One friend noticed footprints beside their own, not new, not old, just appearing and fading, as if someone invisible walked with them. Another noticed the sky slowly shifting colors, deep blue melting into silver, then back again, like the night was breathing. They reached a gentle slope leading downward into a wide valley. At the bottom lay a long, winding road bordered by snow-covered fences and tall lantern posts. The lanterns glowed low and steady, casting long shadows that moved slowly across the snow. "This road appears only on certain nights," a familiar voice said softly. The reindeer stepped out from the lantern light, whole again, calm and steady. It connects moments rather than places. The friends followed the road, their pace unhurried. With every lantern they passed, the air grew warmer, the light softer. Scenes appeared briefly within the glow. A family gathered around a table, children laughing. Beneath Christmas lights, quiet rooms filled with warmth and rest. The images faded gently as they moved on, never lingering long enough to pull them away. The road curved through the valley and toward a distant forest edge. Here, the trees were smaller, younger, their branches lightly dusted with snow. Wind chimes hung from them, carved from ice and wood, chiming softly as the air passed through. The friends paused, listening. Each chime carried a slightly different tone, some low and grounding, others light and bright. Together, they formed a slow, calming melody that seemed to steady the night itself. "Every sound here helps the world rest," the reindeer whispered. Further on, they found a small shelter built of wood and stone, its roof heavy with snow. Inside, a fire burned low, casting a golden glow across simple benches and thick blankets. Without discussion, they stepped inside, sitting close, warming hands and hearts. No one felt tired in the usual way. Instead, they felt settled. Outside, the wind softened. Snow fell more slowly, drifting lazily past the doorway. The reindeer stood just beyond the light, watching, silent and peaceful. After a long while, the fire dimmed on its own, embers glowing softly. One by one, the friends stood and stepped back onto the road. The shelter faded behind them, as if it had never been there, or as if it would only return when needed again. The path now rose gently, leading toward a faint glow on the horizon. The sky there was lighter, not with dawn, but with rest, the kind of light that comes just before sleep deepens. As they walked, the night wrapped around them once more, calm and endless. The journey did not feel like it was ending. It felt like it was slowly becoming part of them. And the Christmas night, quiet and patient, continued to guide them forward, step by gentle step, deeper into warmth, deeper into stillness, deeper into a dream that asked nothing more than to be felt. The road seemed to stretch not forward, but inward. With every step, the friends felt lighter, as if the night was gently lifting something unseen from their shoulders. The lanterns along the path grew farther apart now, their glow softer, more diffuse, like distant memories rather than guiding lights. Snow continued to fall, but so slowly it felt suspended in time. The forest on either side of the road breathed quietly. Tall trees stood wrapped in frost, their branches heavy and still, as though listening. Occasionally, a soft creak echoed, not a warning, but the sound of wood settling comfortably into the cold. One of the friends noticed a small trail branching off the main road, winding between young pine trees. Another noticed a low stone wall half buried beneath snow, its shape worn smooth by many winters. Nothing called out loudly. Everything waited patiently. The reindeer walked ahead, unhurried. "Some journeys are meant to be remembered," it said softly, "and some are meant to be felt only once." They continued onward until the road slowly dissolved beneath their feet, becoming a wide open field of snow. The sky above shifted again, clouds thinning until stars appeared clearer and closer, as if the night had leaned down to watch them pass. At the center of the field stood a large circle traced into the snow, glowing faintly from within. The glow wasn't bright. It was warm, like candlelight behind a curtain. Around the circle stood tall wooden posts carved with gentle shapes. Animals, trees, stars, sleeping faces. The friends stepped into the circle together. Instantly, the air changed. The wind fell completely silent. Snowflakes drifted down and stopped just at the circle's edge, refusing to cross. Inside, warmth wrapped around them, steady and calm. "This is a turning place," the reindeer said quietly. "Not an ending, not a beginning." The carvings on the posts shimmered softly. As the friends watched, the shapes seemed to move, slowly, gently, telling quiet stories without sound. A fox curled beside a lantern. Children walked hand in hand through snow. A reindeer stood watch beneath falling star. Each friend felt something different rise within them. A sense of peace, a memory of laughter, a warmth that felt like home. No one spoke. Words would only have made the moment smaller. After a long while, the glow in the circle softened, fading into the snow until it was no longer visible. The posts remained, still and silent, their stories settled once more. Beyond the circle, a new path appeared, narrower, quieter, leading downhill toward a faint golden light. The friends followed, steps slow and careful, until they reached the edge of another hidden place. This one felt older. A small valley opened before them, cradled by stone and trees. At its center lay a cluster of cottages, roofs bowed under snow, windows glowing softly. Smoke rose lazily from chimneys, curling into the night before fading away. They entered the valley, and warmth met them instantly. Somewhere inside one of the cottages, music played, not a song, but a low, steady hum, comforting and familiar. Doors opened gently as they passed, revealing quiet rooms filled with blankets, books, and sleeping pets curled near hearths. No one asked them to stay. No one asked them to leave. The reindeer paused near the center of the valley. "This is where travelers remember how to rest," it said. "You may stay as long as the night allows." The friends settled near a small fire pit in the open square, sitting close together. The fire burned low and golden, never flickering too high. Snow fell around them, but did not land within the fire's reach. Time loosened again. Laughter drifted softly, not loud, not sharp, just enough to warm the air. The stars above shifted, more, and the moon slid slowly behind thin clouds, dimming the light to a perfect hush. Eventually, one by one, the friends felt their eyes grow heavy. The valley seemed to notice, growing quieter still. The fire dimmed, the music softened. The night leaned closer, and far beyond the valley, beyond the forest and the road and the gate, the world slept, calm, safe, and wrapped in the gentle magic of a Christmas night that asked nothing, hurried nothing, and held everything exactly as it should be. The journey was not over. It was simply resting. The valley breathed softly as the night deepened. Snow fell in wide, lazy arcs, settling gently on rooftops, fences, and quiet paths. The cottages seemed to lean closer together, sharing warmth, their windows glowing like half-closed eyes drifting toward sleep. The friends remained by the low fire, its embers pulsing slowly, casting long, gentle shadows across the snow. No one spoke for a long time. The silence wasn't empty. It was full of safety, of belonging, of the kind of quiet that only comes when nothing is expected of you. Somewhere nearby, a door creaked softly as it closed on its own. Inside one of the cottages, a clock ticked once, then stopped as if deciding the moment was perfect, just as it was. The reindeer lay down near the edge of the square, folding its legs beneath itself. Its eyes reflected the firelight, calm and watchful. "When the night grows this still," it murmured, "paths begin to overlap." As if in response, the fire shifted. Its glow spread outward, not brighter, but wider, touching the snow around them. In the soft light, faint shapes appeared, outlines of old roads, forgotten footprints, gentle trails crossing and recrossing through the valley floor. One of the friends noticed a narrow path leading away from the fire, bordered by low stones dusted with frost. At the end of the path stood a single lantern, swaying slightly, though there was no wind. Without needing to speak, they rose together and followed it. The lantern's light was dim and warm, just enough to guide their steps. As they walked, the valley behind them softened, its details blurring gently, as if it were slowly settling into sleep. Ahead, the path curved between snow-covered hedges, leading toward a small hill rising quietly from the valley floor. At the top of the hill stood an old bell tower, small, simple, and dusted with snow. No bell hung inside. Instead, soft light glowed from within, steady and patient. "This place listens for echoes," the reindeer said quietly, standing beside them once more. "Not sounds, feelings." They stepped inside. The tower was warmer than the night outside, its stone walls wrapped in a gentle golden glow. Carved into the walls were faint symbols: stars, trees, animals, open hands, worn smooth by time. In the center of the room stood a shallow bowl carved from stone, filled with softly glowing snow. One by one, the friends gathered around it. As they leaned closer, the glow shifted, showing fleeting reflections. Moments of kindness they had given without thinking, comfort they had offered without realizing its weight, small choices that had quietly mattered. The images were gentle, never demanding attention, never lingering too long. The glow faded slowly, settling back into stillness. "This is what the night keeps," the reindeer whispered. "The things the world forgets to notice." Outside, the snow thickened slightly, wrapping the tower in deeper quiet. The friends remained inside, sitting along the stone walls, wrapped in warmth and calm. Their breathing slowed, matching the steady rhythm of the glowing bowl. Time loosened again. Eventually, the light dimmed until the room was lit only by moonlight slipping through narrow windows. The friends rose slowly, stepping back into the snow. The lantern at the hill's base still glowed, waiting. As they followed the path down, the valley welcomed them back, unchanged and familiar. The fire still glowed softly. The cottages stood quietly. Everything felt exactly where it should be. The friends settled once more near the fire. Snow fell. Embers pulsed. The night stretched on, gentle and endless. Somewhere far away, a bell finally rang, once low and distant, marking nothing, announcing nothing, simply existing. And under the calm watch of the forest, the valley, and the quiet Christmas night, the journey continued slowly, peacefully, deeper into rest, deeper into warmth, deeper into a dream that had no need to end. The bell's echo did not fade. It softened. Its low vibration seemed to sink into the snow, into the stones of the valley, into the friends themselves. The night felt deeper now, heavier with calm, as if it had reached a part of itself rarely seen. The fire by the square burned lower, embers glowing like slow, patient stars. One of the cottages nearby exhaled a thin curl of smoke. The door opened slightly, not wide enough to invite, just enough to reveal a warm amber glow inside. From within came the quiet sound of pages turning, followed by a gentle hum, not a song, but the memory of one. "This is the hour between nights," the reindeer whispered, "when stories begin to overlap." The friends rose and approached the cottage, their steps unhurried. Inside, the air was thick with warmth and the scent of pine and old wood. Shelves lined the walls, filled with books wrapped in cloth and twine, their titles faded or missing altogether. A large chair sat near the hearth, empty but welcoming. In the center of the room stood a long wooden table. On it lay a single open book, its pages glowing softly, words appearing and disappearing like breath on cold air. One of the friends leaned closer. The words were not written in any language they recognized, yet they understood them perfectly. They spoke of winter journeys, quiet bravery, and nights that held more than darkness. "These are the stories that were never finished," the reindeer said softly, standing in the doorway. "They wait for listeners." The friends sat around the table, the fire crackling gently behind them. As they listened, the room seemed to grow larger, its walls stretching outward until the cottage felt more like a hall than a home. Shadows moved slowly across the ceiling, not threatening, just present. Outside, the snow fell thicker now, sealing the valley in a deeper hush. When the book finally closed on its own, the glow faded, leaving only warmth behind. The friends felt no urge to speak. Instead, they sat quietly, letting the calm settle deeper. Eventually, the cottage dimmed, its fire lowering until only embers remained. The door opened once more, and the night welcomed them back outside. The valley had changed. The snow glowed faintly, reflecting a sky now filled with slow-moving clouds drifting across the moon. The cottages seemed farther apart, as though the space between them had stretched. The fire in the square burned lower still, its warmth gentle but fading. A new path appeared beyond the far edge of the valley, winding upward into the hills. Along it, small lights blinked slowly, one by one, like stars waking from sleep. The reindeer lifted its head. "The night is ready for the next stretch," it said calmly. They followed the path as it climbed, the valley sinking slowly behind them. With each step, the air grew thinner and clearer, the sounds fewer. Eventually, even the wind seemed to stop following them. At the top of the hill, they reached a wide overlook. Below, the world stretched out in layers: forest, valley, frozen lakes, distant towns, all wrapped in snow and stillness. Above, the sky opened wide, deeper and darker than before. Stars scattered gently like seeds. The friends stood together, feeling small but safe. "This is where the night watches itself," the reindeer said quietly. "Stay as long as you need." They remained there, breathing slowly, letting the vastness settle into comfort rather than awe. Snow fell softly around them, never touching their faces, drifting past like quiet thoughts. Time slipped again, and the Christmas night, endless and kind, continued to hold them, guiding, listening, resting, as the journey stretched on, unbroken and calm. The overlook slowly faded behind them, not because they moved away, but because the night gently folded it back into itself. The path ahead softened, becoming less like a road and more like a feeling, a quiet understanding that wherever they stepped, the night would carry them. Snow fell thinner now, each flake drifting sideways before settling, as if undecided. The friends walked together, close enough to feel each other's warmth, far enough to keep their thoughts their own. No one felt tired, yet no one felt awake in the usual way either. It was a peaceful in-between. Ahead, the forest thinned, opening into a wide clearing filled with tall grass, frozen beneath a layer of frost. Moonlight spread across it like spilled silver. In the center stood a ring of old trees, their branches reaching inward, forming a natural shelter. "This place holds waiting," the reindeer said softly. "Not impatience, just waiting." They stepped inside the ring. The air immediately felt warmer, quieter. The grass beneath the frost glowed faintly, and as they moved, it hummed, a low, gentle sound, almost like a lullaby, remembered from far away. The friends slowed even more, letting the rhythm guide their steps. At the heart of the ring lay a shallow pool, its surface perfectly still. It reflected not the sky above, but a softer version of it, stars dimmer, moonlight warmer, everything calmer. When one of the friends knelt and touched the surface, the water did not ripple. Instead, it glowed brighter, responding gently. Within the reflection, images drifted past, shared walks, quiet conversations, moments of understanding that had never needed words. Not memories tied to one place or time, but feelings, comfort, trust, warmth. The reindeer stood watch at the edge. "The night remembers what you forget," it whispered, "and it gives it back when you're ready." They remained there for a long while, breathing slowly, letting the pool's light soften their thoughts. Eventually, one by one, the reflections faded, the water returning to stillness. Beyond the trees, a new sound emerged, soft and steady, the distant rush of something moving slowly. The reindeer turned its head. "A river," it said, "not of water, of time." They followed the sound through a gentle slope until the forest opened again, revealing a wide river glowing faintly under the moon. Its surface moved slowly, thick and calm, like liquid starlight. No current pulled at its edges. It simply flowed. A narrow wooden boat waited at the shore, dusted with snow, lantern resting at its bow. The friends stepped in carefully, sitting close. The boat moved on its own, drifting gently into the glowing river. No oars were needed, no direction chosen. As they floated, the banks passed slowly, scenes appearing and dissolving. Quiet homes, snowy roads, forests at rest, lights glowing behind curtains. The river did not rush them. It allowed each moment to linger just long enough. The lantern at the bow dimmed gradually, its light spreading wider instead of brighter. The friends leaned back, eyes growing heavy, bodies relaxed, thoughts drifting loose. Above them, the sky shifted again, clouds parting to reveal stars that seemed closer now, softer, like they were watching kindly. The reindeer stood at the shore, unmoving, reflected perfectly in the glowing water. "When you return," its voice carried gently across the river, "you won't remember every step, only the calm." The river curved, the light softened further, and the boat drifted on, slow, steady, safe, carrying the friends deeper into the Christmas night, where mystery rested comfortably beside warmth, and the journey had no need for an ending. And the night went on, quiet, endless, kind. The river carried them gently for a long while, its glow slowly dimming until it felt less like light and more like warmth. The scenes along the banks softened, losing their shapes, becoming colors, then feelings, then nothing at all. The boat slowed on its own, drifting toward a quiet shore where the snow lay smooth and untouched. One by one, the friends stepped onto the snow. Their movements were calm, unhurried. No one looked back at the river because there was no need to. What it had given them was already inside, settled, steady, and warm. The forest here was quieter than anywhere they had been. No lanterns, no paths, just tall trees resting beneath the night sky. The reindeer stood waiting, peaceful and still, as if it had never left. "This is as far as the journey needs to go," it said softly. "The rest continues in sleep." The friends felt it then, the gentle pull of rest, deep and kind. One by one, they found places beneath the trees, sitting, then lying back in the snow that felt soft as blankets. Above them, the branches swayed ever so slightly, and the stars blurred into a comforting haze. The reindeer watched until their breathing slowed, until the night fully held them. Then, without sound, it turned and walked back into the forest, becoming part of the shadows, part of the calm. Far away, the valley dimmed, the cottages slept. The fire became embers. The paths faded until only the forest remained, quiet, watchful, complete. Back in the wooden house at the edge of town, the child slept deeply beneath warm blankets. The fire had burned low, the room filled with gentle stillness. Outside the window, snow continued to fall, slow and patient, covering every trace of the night's magic, not to hide it, but to keep it safe. Christmas breathed softly in the dark. The forest rested. The world slept. And nothing more was needed. Good night.